Hey, have you ever wondered how to make your own sourdough bread? Or even wondered, what the heck is sourdough all about anyways? Well, you've come to the right place. We're starting a new series here called Sourdough Diaries, where I'll teach you how to make your own sourdough starter from scratch, how to maintain that starter, and then how to make items like bread and pancakes with it. So now there is a disclaimer here in the beginning because I've been tracking my process for a few days, but I've made a few mistakes, but I've corrected them. And so in the description box below, you'll find some detailed instructions that will set you on your way to having a better start to your sourdough journey. All we need is just a little bit of time and some patience, and then we'll be on our way in about a week or so making our bread. So I hope you'll join me. Just grab a jar and any little hands that might want to be involved, and then we'll begin our sourdough diaries. Why would you want to make a sourdough starter? Well, let's say you don't have any yeast to make bread. Well, you can make your own, because all yeast is microscopic fungus, and it's in the air, it's on our skin, it's in our digestive system, it's all over the place at all times. And we can essentially capture this yeast by making an environment in which it's happy to live in and to thrive. And so by doing that, we'll just need a few simple things. We'll need a little house for it, a little glass jar, or just a drinking glass will work. We'll need a nice scoop of flour for its food, because since yeast is a living organism, it needs the same things we need. It needs a house, it needs food, and it needs water, of course. And this doesn't have to be exact, just a little bit. We're gonna stir it and see if it needs more. I don't think so. So it's gonna be kind of like the consistency of pancake batter. And you can use different kinds of flour. I'm using all-purpose flour in this instance. You can use whole wheat flour. You can use rye flour, which is really great. So this is the consistency. It's kind of goopy. Yeah. So what we'll do now is give it some time. So that's the kicker with sourdough bread, is that the most important ingredient is time. And before we put it to bed though, we'll just put a little blanket on it. It's just a napkin or paper towel, or even just a dishcloth, a clean dishcloth, because like us again, yeast need air to breathe. So this is just gonna keep it from getting dust and bugs or whatever out of your yeast starter, your sourdough starter. So what we'll do is, after we've made our, the start of our starter, because it's not active yet, we will stir it at least 3 times a day. So this is the evening for me right now. So in the morning, or maybe before I go to bed, I'll give it a stir with a nice clean spoon, and then I will put the blanket back on and let it rest on the counter. In the morning, I'll do that again, and then in the evening or at lunchtime, do that again. And what we're looking for is some activity. So if we think about it, when we eat food, we often burp. And so those little bubbles are gonna form from the yeast consuming the flour and water. And those little bubbles are what give our bread lift and rise whenever we make yeast bread. So more on that later, but so we'll check in back tomorrow. We'll give a few stirs and see if there's any activity. Now there are different times that will, or different factors that will affect the time in which how fast this will go. So if it's warmer outside, sourdough bread making processes tend to be a lot faster because yeast thrive in warmer temperatures, warmer humid temperatures. So if you want to speed it up, put it in a warm place, maybe on top of your fridge. Not someplace where it gets a lot of air draft though. So I wouldn't put it on like a heating vent or something like that. And also we don't want it to get too hot, because if it gets too hot, which is to say at least 110 degrees or above, then the yeast will die. So we're just looking at a happy temperature somewhere in between maybe 65 degrees and 90 degrees, whatever. It's a fun project that we can all do together, and it's very kid friendly. And by the end of this, we'll make some sourdough bread together. So I hope you'll join me. I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.